Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're into coins, collectibles, hidden treasures, or just love finding out if something in your pocket change could be worth a small fortune, then you're going to want to stick around because today we're diving into something you probably have never looked twice at: the 1993 Jefferson nickel, the one with the Monticello building on the reverse. Now at first glance this nickel looks pretty ordinary, right? I mean, come on, how many times have you seen this exact coin in your change drawer or sitting in your car's cup holder? But here's the thing, not all 1993 Jefferson nickels are created equal, and there's a very small number of these coins that are selling for hundreds, thousands, and in some rare cases there's talk about these reaching even higher values in the right condition and with the right characteristics. So first let's start with the basics. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938 and features President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse or front of the coin, and Monticello is Virginia estate on the reverse. The P mint mark means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and in 1993 that mint produced over 390 million of these nickels. So you might be thinking, with that high mintage, there's no way this coin could be rare or valuable, right? Well, that's where it gets interesting, because the value of a coin isn't always about how many were made, it's often about how many survive in pristine condition and whether there are any errors or varieties that make certain examples stand out from the crowd. Let's talk about condition first. In the coin collecting world, this is referred to as grade, and coins are graded on a 70-point scale. A coin that is basically flawless with no scratches or damage is called mint state or MS, and the higher the number the better. So if you have a 1993 Jefferson nickel in MS 67 or even MS 68 condition, that's where the real money starts coming in. Some of these high-grade coins have sold for over $1,000 at auction. In fact, one extremely high-grade 1993 Jefferson nickel sold for several $1,000s because it was virtually perfect, and almost no other examples exist at that level of quality. Think about it, out of hundreds of millions of coins, how many were carefully preserved right from the start? Probably only a tiny handful. Most went straight into circulation and got banged up over time. But now let's get into the really juicy part, which is errors and varieties. These are coins that were made with some kind of mistake at the mint, and believe it or not, collectors go crazy for these because they're so unusual and hard to find. Some 1993 Jefferson nickels have been found with off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other rare features. One of the most sought-after errors is the doubled die, where the design elements like the lettering or Monticello itself appear to be doubled because the coin was struck more than once by a misaligned die. These can be very valuable, especially if the doubling is strong and easy to see without magnification. Another big one to watch for is full steps on the Monticello building. This refers to the steps leading up to the building on the reverse. If all 5 or 6 steps are clearly visible and not worn down, that means the strike was incredibly strong, and those coins are much more desirable. Some full steps examples from 1993 have fetched thousands of dollars from collectors looking to fill that perfect hole in their set. Now here's where the $1,000,000 rumors start swirling around the collecting community. There have been whispers about extremely rare and nearly flawless 1993 Jefferson nickels that might one day sell for staggering amounts. Imagine a coin that not only has full steps but is also graded MS 70 by a top grading company. That means it's literally perfect, no scratches, no marks, perfect strike, and possibly with a rare error or variety on top of that. If one of those coins were to show up at a major auction house like Heritage or Stacksbowers with the right story, the right hype, and the right collectors watching, it could easily break records. We've seen similar things happen before with coins that no one thought were worth anything suddenly exploding in value because of their rarity and condition. Combine that with increasing interest in modern coin collecting and the power of social media, and you've got a recipe for $1,000,000 moment. So the big question is, do you have one? Check your change, check your old coin jars, look through that pile of nickels you haven't touched in years, and if you find a 1993 Jefferson nickel, take a good look at it under strong lighting. See if it has full steps, look for doubling, check if it's uncirculated, and consider sending it off to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to see what you've got, because even if it's not worth $1,000,000, 1,000 or more for a single nickel is nothing to sneeze at. Remember, the value of these coins comes down to rarity, condition, demand, and sometimes just being in the right place at the right time. So that's the story of the 1993 Jefferson nickel. From common pocket change to potential treasure, keep your eyes open, keep hunting, and who knows, you just might be holding the next big discovery. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into valuable coins, and comment below if you've ever come across a 1993 nickel or any rare finds in your change. I'd love to hear your stories. 1994 could actually be worth thousands or even over $1,000,000. Yes, you heard that right. That small 5-cent coin with a D mint mark just under the year might be one of the rarest and most valuable nickels in the world. Today, we're diving deep into the 1994 D Monticello Jefferson nickel and exploring why collectors are going wild for this coin. We'll break down its key features, errors to look out for, and how one of these coins could turn your spare change into a life-changing payday. First, let's get some quick background on the coin itself. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1938, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous Monticello home on the reverse. The 1994 D version means it was minted in Denver, and according to official U.S. Mint records, over 1.1 billion of these coins were struck. So, with that kind of mintage, you might be asking, how could any single coin be worth more than 5 cents, let alone thousands or millions? Here's where things get really interesting. While the standard 1994 D nickel is extremely common, there are rare varieties and mint errors that are anything but. These rare specimens are the ones collectors go absolutely crazy for. We're talking about dramatic die errors, off-center strikes, double dies, and even full steps on the Monticello building that are perfectly struck and graded by professional services. These tiny details can send the value of a nickel soaring. One of the most sought-after features on any Jefferson nickel is what collectors call full steps. That refers to the stairs in front of Monticello. If your 1994 D Jefferson nickel has a clear, uninterrupted line of full steps without any wear or strike weakness, that's already a sign your coin is special. But when that full steps example is also in pristine condition with zero contact marks and flawless luster, it can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially when certified by top grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Now, let's talk about the jaw-dropping million-dollar question. Is it really possible for a 1994 D nickel to be worth over $1 million? In extremely rare cases, yes. But let me explain. It's not the regular mint coin that brings that kind of price. It would have to be an ultra-rare error variety, possibly a discovery piece, or a unique double die in flawless mint state condition. One-of-a-kind specimens like that could sell for astronomical prices at auction if collectors believe they're truly rare and unique in the market. For example, a high-grade 1994 D Jefferson nickel with full steps and near-perfect preservation has already sold for several thousands of dollars in major auctions. Combine that level of preservation with a dramatic error or rare variety and you're looking at a potential record breaker. And that's exactly why collectors, dealers, and even everyday people are checking their old coin jars, dresser drawers, and bankrolls. They're hoping to find one of these unicorns of the coin world, but before you go rushing to cash in, let's talk about authentication. If you think you found a valuable 1994 D Jefferson nickel, the first thing you need to do is avoid cleaning it. Cleaning a coin destroys its numismatic value. What you should do instead is submit it to a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate the coin, assign it a grade, and encapsulate it in a tamper-proof holder that protects it and proves its value to potential buyers. So what should you look for? Here's a quick summary. First, examine the Monticello steps. If they are fully struck and sharp, that's a huge plus. Second, look for unusual characteristics like doubling in the lettering or numbers, especially on the date and the word Liberty. Third, check for off-center strikes or other visual mint errors. And finally, examine the coin's condition under a magnifier. The fewer marks and the more original shine it has, the better. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare 1994 D nickels with full steps, flawless surfaces, or a dramatic error, you could be holding onto a coin worth hundreds, thousands, or yes, even $1 million if it's truly unique. Coins like this do exist, and when they hit the auction block, they get a lot of attention. Sometimes bidding wars break out, and the price skyrockets far beyond what most people would ever expect for a simple 5-cent coin. So go ahead and check your change. Look through that old coin collection. You never know what treasures might be hiding in plain sight. Because that ordinary-looking nickel from 1994 could be your ticket to a fortune. 1996 P Monticello Jefferson nickel, and uncover why this seemingly ordinary coin has drawn serious attention from collectors, investors, and even treasure hunters. So what's the big deal with this nickel minted in Philadelphia back in 1996? At first glance it looks just like any other Jefferson nickel. It features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home Monticello on the reverse. It has a plain edge. It weighs 5 grams and it's made of 75% copper and 25% Nickel, nothing unusual, right? Well, here's where things get interesting. Although the US Mint struck over 826 million of these nickels in 1996, making it seem like they're common and easy to find, certain rare errors and unique characteristics make a small percentage of them extremely valuable. One of the biggest factors that can drive the price of a 1996p nickel into the stratosphere is a rare mint error. For example, full strike errors like double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, or improperly annealed planchets are highly sought after by collectors. If you find a 1996p nickel with a strong and noticeable double die error, particularly on Jefferson's eye or on the Monticello lettering, you could be looking at a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But that's not all. There are also extremely high-grade examples of this coin that are worth a small fortune when a coin is graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC and receives a perfect or near-perfect grade such as MS68 or MS69. It becomes extremely rare and desirable. To give you some perspective, the vast majority of nickels from 1996 show signs of circulation, dings, scratches, and weak strikes, but a flawless uncirculated 1996p nickel with sharp details, clean fields, and strong luster is almost impossible to find, and when one does show up at auction, collectors are willing to pay premium prices. In fact, one high-grade 1996p Jefferson nickel sold for several $1,000s at auction because of its pristine condition and eye appeal. And if a perfect MS70 example were to be discovered, which so far remains theoretical, it could potentially sell for hundreds of thousands or even cross into million-dollar territory simply because of its one-of-a-kind status. Million-dollar coins are not just about age, they're about rarity, condition, historical significance, and collector demand. If the right combination of these factors aligns, even a modern coin like the 1996p nickel could break records. There's also a buzz among collectors about possible undiscovered varieties related to die polishing marks or other minor design deviations from normal issues, which could create a new class of highly valuable coins. If one of these is discovered and authenticated, it could instantly explode in value. So here's what you should do if you have a 1996p Jefferson nickel in your possession. First, check the coin for any visible errors. Look for doubling, die shifts, misalignments, or odd textures. Then inspect its condition. If the coin looks unusually sharp or pristine with a mirror-like shine, it could be worth having graded by a reputable coin grading company. You'd be amazed how many people find rare and valuable coins tucked away in old drawers, jars, or even change from a store. Most people don't bother to look. That's why opportunity still exists. It's also important to remember that coin values constantly shift based on market trends, metal prices, and collector interest. So even if a coin is only worth a few $100s today, it could skyrocket in the future. In summary, while the average 1996p Jefferson nickel is only worth face value, the rare ones with mint errors or perfect conditions can sell for thousands or more. And if the right combination of rarity, condition, and demand come together, we could absolutely see this coin become one of those million-dollar marvels. So next time you're going through your change or searching through an old coin collection, keep an eye out for the 1996p nickel. It might just be a hidden gem waiting to change your life. 1998 with a P mint mark could actually be worth a fortune? Stick around, because today we're diving deep into the story of the 1998p Jefferson nickel, and why collectors are watching this coin very closely. Let's start with the basics. The 1998p Jefferson nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it carries that small but important letter P just above Monticello on the reverse side. In total, the Mint produced over 800 million of these coins. That's right, nearly 1 billion nickels rolled out that year. So what makes this particular one special? Why are some collectors paying hundreds, thousands, or even potentially valuing certain examples into the million-dollar range? To answer that, we need to talk about condition, errors, varieties, and grading. You see, most of these nickels went straight into circulation. They were used to buy snacks, make change, and got scratched up in the process. But once in a while, a pristine coin survives. We're talking about coins that were never touched, never circulated, and kept in mint condition from the very beginning. Coins like that, especially those graded by services like PCGS or NGC, can sell for surprising amounts. A 1998p Jefferson nickel graded MS68 or higher, that means mint state 68 on the Sheldon scale, where 70 is perfect, can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the demand. And as you go higher in grade, the value increases exponentially, because the number of known examples drops dramatically. And now let's talk about varieties and errors. The 1998p Jefferson nickel is known to have a few interesting die varieties and striking errors. Double dies, off-center strikes, and coins with rotated dies are always sought after by collectors. A coin with a strong double die on the obverse, for example, where the date or Jefferson's eye appears doubled under magnification, can command serious premiums. Combine that with a near-perfect grade and you're looking at a coin that's truly rare. Some collectors and dealers believe that a perfect, one-of-a-kind 1998p Jefferson nickel with a dramatic mint error or an ultra-rare die variety could potentially be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, or even $1 million in a high-profile auction. While that kind of sale hasn't happened yet, the potential is there, and that's why coin hunters are constantly searching rolls and collections for the next big find. So, could your pocket change make you a millionaire? Probably not overnight. But if you happen to find a 1998p Jefferson nickel in pristine condition or with a clear error, you could be holding a small fortune without even knowing it. That's the excitement of coin collecting. It's not just about history or design. It's about the thrill of discovery. The idea that something so small could have such massive hidden value. Here's what you should look for. First, check the overall condition. Does it look nearly flawless? No scratches, no wear, strong details? Next, take a closer look, and I mean a real close look under magnification. Any signs of doubling? Off-center design? Missing elements? Those can all be clues. Finally, consider submitting your coin to a grading service if you think it's something special. A small investment now could turn into a big payday later. In recent years, prices for high-grade Jefferson nickels have climbed. Some collectors are now putting together full sets of ultra-high-grade nickels from each year in mint. When there's only a handful of coins at the top grade, the bidding wars get intense. One single grade point can mean the difference between a coin worth $20 and one worth $5,000 or more. It's also worth noting that interest in modern coinage is growing. While older coins like Morgan dollars and Mercury dimes have long dominated the hobby, many collectors are now turning their attention to coins from the late 20th century. Coins like the 1998p Jefferson nickel are finally getting the recognition they deserve. So the next time you're digging through your change jar or coin collection, don't overlook the nickels. Especially not the ones from 1998 with that little P above Monticello. It might just be your lucky day. 1999 D Jefferson nickel, specifically the one featuring Monticello on the reverse. There's been a ton of buzz about this coin, especially with stories claiming some of them are worth hundreds of thousands, even up to $1 million. But how much truth is there to that? Let's break it all down. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1938. It replaced the Buffalo nickel and features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with his Virginia home, Monticello, on the reverse. The 1999 D nickel was minted in Denver and is one of the last Jefferson nickels struck before the design changes of the early 2000s. Over 1.7 billion of these coins were minted in 1999 at the Denver Mint. That's right, billion with a B. So what makes one of these seemingly ordinary coins potentially worth a fortune? Now here's where it gets interesting. Like with any modern coin, it all comes down to condition, errors, and rarity. A basic 1999 D nickel in circulated condition is usually only worth its face value, 5 cents. But under the right circumstances, the value can skyrocket. Let's start with mint errors. Collectors go crazy for them. Some of the most valuable errors in 1999 D nickels include off-center strikes, double die obverse or reverse misaligned dies, broad strikes, clipped planchets. These are factory mistakes that happen during minting, and the more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. For example, an off-center strike of over 50%, combined with a high grade, can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, but that's not where the real money is. The real gold mine is when you find a 1999 D nickel in extremely high condition. I'm talking about coins that are graded MS68 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. These are coins that look flawless even under magnification, with perfect luster, sharp details, and zero contact marks. To give you an idea, most coins fresh from circulation grade between MS60 and MS64. Once you hit MS66 and above, the population drops significantly. MS68? That's nearly perfect. And collectors will pay big money for perfection. A 1999 D nickel graded MS68 full steps, which means all the steps on Monticello are fully struck and visible, is incredibly rare. One such coin reportedly sold for over $25,000 at auction. And if a better version is found or hits the market, that number could easily go higher. Now let's talk about the $1 million claim. There have been rumors and reports circulating online, especially on social media and coin forums, about certain error nickels or perfect specimens being worth up to $1 million. Is that realistic? Truth is, there's no publicly verified sale of a 1999 D Jefferson nickel reaching the $1 million mark yet. But here's the catch. If a collector were to find a unique and dramatic error, combined with a top-tier grade, and if it's the only one of its kind, then yes, a bidding war among elite collectors could drive the price into 6 or even 7 figures. It's rare, but it's possible. That's what keeps the coin collecting world so exciting. So how do you know if your 1999 D nickel is valuable? Look at the condition. If it looks minty fresh, no scratches, bold luster, and has sharp details, you're off to a good start. Check Monticello. Do the steps show clearly? Can you count all of them? If yes, you might have a full steps variety, which is much more valuable. Look for errors. Misaligned text, doubled letters, off-center strike, or odd shapes in the coin could all be signs of rare mint errors. Consider getting your coin professionally graded. A coin in a certified slab from PCGS or NGC is much easier to sell and attracts serious buyers. To wrap it all up, here's a quick breakdown of what a 1999 D Jefferson nickel might be worth today, potentially tens of thousands to $1 million depending on rarity and buyer interest. So does the 1999 D Jefferson nickel have the potential to be worth $1 million? Technically yes, but it would take a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector demand. That said, many of these coins are still out there in change jars, old rolls, and bank boxes. So check yours carefully. Who knows, you might be sitting on a jackpot without even knowing it. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more coin videos like this. Got a rare coin or a cool find you want us to cover? Drop it in the comments. 2006 D Monticello Jefferson nickel. And believe it or not, some of these little 5-cent coins have been selling for tens of thousands and even have the potential to be worth up to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple nickel from your pocket change could change your life. So grab your coin jar and let's find out what makes the 2006 D nickel so special. First, a little background. The Jefferson nickel has been around since 1938, but in 2006 the design went back to showing Monticello, the famous home of Thomas Jefferson. After a short run of westward journey designs, this coin was minted in Denver, which is where the D mint mark comes from, and millions of them were made. So what's the big deal? Why is this coin suddenly making waves in the collector world? It's all about errors, condition, and rare die varieties. Let's start with the basics. If you find a 2006 D Jefferson nickel in pristine condition, meaning no scratches nowhere, and it looks like it just came from the mint, you could already be looking at a coin worth way more than 5 cents. Coins graded MS66 and above, which means mint state, are the ones collectors go crazy for, and they're not easy to find. Now here's where it gets interesting. Some 2006 D nickels have what's called a full steps designation. That means the steps on Monticello on the reverse of the coin are completely visible. No smudging, just crisp clean lines. These full step coins are incredibly desirable, and one graded MS67 with full steps can fetch thousands at auction. But that's not even the most exciting part. Let's talk about errors, because errors are where the real money is hiding. There have been reports of 2006 D nickels with double die obversive center strikes and even struck through grease errors. These kinds of mint errors make a coin one of a kind, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for them. Imagine finding a 2006 D nickel with a dramatic off-center strike and full steps in mint condition. That's a perfect storm, and it's exactly the kind of coin that could go for tens of thousands, maybe even 6 figures. Now you might be asking, how can a nickel ever be worth $1 million? And here's the truth. In numismatics, rarity, demand, and condition create value. If someone discovers a brand new error on the 2006 D nickel that no one has seen before, something like a rare double strike combined with a perfect MS70 grade in full steps, that coin could make headlines. We've seen it happen before with other coins like the 1943 copper penny or the 1913 Liberty nickel. Nobody thought those would become $1 million coins either until someone found one, so the potential is absolutely real. Right now, a top-graded 2006 D Jefferson nickel with full steps can easily bring in 4 to 5 figures, and if you throw in a dramatic error, you could be holding onto a life-changing piece of metal. So what should you look for? Start by checking the mint mark. It should be a D under the date 2006, then flip it over and look closely at the steps of Monticello. If all 5 or 6 steps are visible and well-defined, you may have a full steps coin. Next, check the entire coin for any oddities, doubling in the lettering, misaligned images, blank areas, or signs of an off-center strike. Even a tiny error can mean huge value. And final lie, if you think you found something special, do not clean it, don't even touch it more than you have to. Place it in a soft cloth or flip and send it to a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They will professionally grade the coin, and that's when the real market value kicks in. In conclusion, the 2006 Monticello Jefferson nickel might look like just another coin in your change, but under the right conditions it could be one of the most valuable coins in your collection or even in the entire world. So start hunting, check your change, and who knows, maybe your next nickel will be the one that changes your life forever. 2007 Monticello Jefferson nickel. It looks ordinary. It's modern. You've probably spent one or two of them without giving it a second thought. But believe it or not, some versions of this coin are catching the attention of collectors, and yes, the right one could be worth an absolute fortune. I'm talking thousands, tens of thousands, and in some cases, potentially even pushing the $1 million mark if the conditions line up just right. So grab your change jar and stick around, because we're about to uncover why this unassuming little 5-cent piece could change your life. Let's start with the basics. The 2007 Jefferson nickel features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, or front, of the coin. The design was part of the Westward Journey nickel series refresh that started in 2004. By 2006, the design settled into what we now know as the modern Monticello reverse. In 2007, the United States Mint in Philadelphia struck millions of these nickels with the P Mint mark. Over 640 million were produced, which makes it one of the most common nickels from that year. But here's where it gets interesting. Not all nickels are created equal. Just because there were hundreds of millions made doesn't mean they're all worth 5 cents. The real money is in the details, and when I say details, I mean mint errors, rare die varieties, full steps, and high-grade condition. Let's talk about full steps. This refers to the detail in the steps of Monticello on the back of the nickel. A coin that shows 5 or 6 full steps without any wear or weak striking is incredibly rare in certain years, including 2007. These full-step examples are often the target of collectors. Now here's the deal: if your 2007 nickel is graded by a service like PCGS or NGC and receives a mint state grade of 67 or higher with full steps, the value jumps dramatically. We're talking hundreds, even thousands of dollars. But wait, what about mint errors? That's where things get wild. Some 2007 nickels have been found with dramatic errors. Think double strikes, off-center strikes, die caps, misaligned dies, or even planchet errors. One of the most valuable types is a coin that was struck on the wrong planchet, like a penny or a foreign coin blank. These rare errors can fetch thousands of dollars at auction depending on the severity and condition. Now let's go even deeper. There are also potential unconfirmed major die varieties from this year, coins with repunched mint marks, doubled dies, or extreme die deterioration. If one of these coins is unique or the only one known, and it's authenticated, that's when things get really exciting. In the world of coin collecting, when a rare variety is discovered and it's the first or only known example, collectors and investors compete for it. If the coin is also in pristine condition, the bidding can skyrocket. That's how we get from a 5-cent piece to a coin potentially worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And yes, there have been instances where rare coins have passed the $1 million mark when rarity, condition, and demand align perfectly. And now I want to be clear, not every 2007 nickel is going to make you rich. Most are worth face value. But if you know what to look for, like those full steps, high mint state grades, and dramatic mint errors, you might just find a hidden gem. So what should you do? First, check your change. Seriously, look through your pocket change, coin jars, and even old rolls of nickels from the bank. Second, get a magnifier or loupe and inspect the steps on Monticello. Third, if you find anything unusual, a strange strike, doubling, or something that just looks off, consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service. And finally, if you do come across a coin that looks flawless or has a dramatic error, don't sell it right away. Do your research. Reach out to trusted dealers. You could be holding something that's truly one dash of dash a dash kind. So the next time you come across a 2007 Jefferson nickel, don't just toss it aside. Look closer. It might just be the $1 million coin hiding in plain sight. 2021 Mint Mark Monticello Jefferson nickel, and we're asking the big question: could this modern nickel be worth up to $1 million? Now, before you toss that nickel back in the jar or use it at the store, make sure you listen closely, because some of these coins have surprises that most people miss. So let's get into it. The 2021 Jefferson nickel struck at the Denver Mint features the familiar Monticello design on the reverse and a modern portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front. While this design has been in circulation for decades, small details and minting errors on this coin can take it from 5 cents to 5 figures and beyond. So what makes a regular 2021 Jefferson nickel valuable? First, we have to talk about errors. Not all nickels are created equal. Some of the most sought-after coins are the ones that left the mint with a mistake. Think doubled dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and even wrong planchet errors. A doubled die, for example, occurs when the design is accidentally impressed onto the die more than once at a slightly different angle. If you find a 2021 D nickel with a clear doubling on Jefferson's eye, mouth, or any part of the Monticello building, you could be holding something special. These coins are rare and collectors will pay a premium for them. Now let's talk about the big bucks. Recently, high-grade examples of the 2021 D Jefferson nickel have sold for impressive prices at auction. We're talking about coins graded MS68 or higher by professional grading services. MS means mint state, and the higher the number the better the condition. One such coin graded MS68 full steps sold for hundreds of dollars. Why? Because full steps refers to the clarity of the steps on the Monticello building. If all 5 or 6 steps are fully visible without breaks, that's a mark of a superbly struck coin. These are hard to come by and collectors love them, but here's the kicker: rumors and speculation in the coin world are swirling about certain rare varieties or experimental strikes that could push the value of this nickel into the $1 million territory. Now let's be clear, this isn't every 2021 D nickel. But there are whispers of rare prototype errors or off-metal strikes that may exist in extremely limited numbers. These coins, if confirmed, could be worth hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million, to the right buyer. So what should you do? Start by checking your change. Look for 2021 nickels with a D mint mark, which means they were struck at the Denver Mint. Inspect the coin for any signs of doubling, weird shapes, off-center designs, or anything that looks odd or out of place. If you find something unusual, do not spend it. Instead, consider sending it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies can authenticate the coin and assign a grade, which massively impacts its value. You can also check online auction results to compare prices and see what similar coins are selling for. Now let's talk numbers. A regular circulated 2021 D Jefferson nickel is still worth face value. But in uncirculated condition, especially with full steps and no flaws, you could be looking at a $10 to $50 coin. That's already a big return on 5 cents. Add in a rare error or a perfect strike and you're talking hundreds, maybe thousands. And if you just happen to find one of those rumored ultra-rare varieties or off-metal strikes we mentioned earlier, well, let's just say it might change your life. To wrap this up, the 2021 D Jefferson nickel is not just another coin in your pocket. It represents an opportunity. A chance to discover something rare, something overlooked, and possibly something worth a fortune. So the next time you get change at the store, pay attention to those nickels.